Good evening, we are here on finals day. Chris Mason. Chris, how you doing?
I'm good, really good. Looking forward to tonight's final. We're only a matter of hours away and, well, we could be crowning a new champion. That's where my heart says Michael Smith. I think he's done enough over the years. He's made, 5 major finals, depending on the old debate about what's a major and what's not. But yeah, he's made a final here before a few years ago now. And I think maybe it's time. I mean, my ad still says that Peter might just have a little bit too much for him, but 2 of the best players in the tournament, and they're going to grace that stage in a couple of hours' time, and I can't wait.
It is the right final for you, is it?
Yeah. I thought it could have been Anderson. I had a wild one at the start of the tournament. I said the final could be between Anderson and Smith, and Anderson very nearly done it.
So to reflect back, it's been quite a year, obviously, with the crowd's gone back to a degree. Bit of upset, obviously, in the world with a few players falling out, being withdrawn. Obviously, it's happened in other tournaments. How do you think the PDC have coped this year?
Well, since the start, I think it's been incredible. The only events we've lost are the ones overseas that we have no control over in terms of travel. I can't think of another sport. Maybe Eddie with the boxing at Matchroom, or doing it up at Maskell's behind closed doors and in his garden. But there's been no other sport that has been more committed to their players than the PDC have. It's been an amazing effort, and the costing involved. You know, they've literally lost, probably getting on for £6-7 million, because you've got to remember booking the hotels and then everybody going in bubbles, and they did the same with Q School, all the testing, the cost of extra staff. It's been an absolute nightmare, but the players have remained employed, if you say. Yes, it's been incredible, and the players have stepped up. It can't have been hard playing behind closed doors, unless you're Gezi, of course, or Dimitri, or Jose. But yeah, the players have been incredible, and you've got to remember, we're all sports fans, and we all need a distraction. You know, people's mental health's obviously concerned, and you know, that darts for darts fans may have been, you know, just the tonic they needed.
Well, touching on that, obviously the crowds are an integral part of darts for the atmosphere, but we have seen a slight turn of recent, especially this tournament. What do you make on that?
Yeah, I think it's been it's a real messy topic, because he's effectively being abused in his workplace.
Think about just giving Price here, because other players have.
Yeah, loads of players. Yeah,
Really?
not just Gezi Price. You got your players being abused in their workplace, which is bad enough. But then when you then factor in they're being abused and songs are being sung because of their nationality, we had it with that terrible song about the Germans the other day. That just any form of racism is not right anywhere. Never mind in the workplace. You know, I did an interview on TalkSport today, and you know, if it was anybody else who was not white or Scottish, Irish, or Welsh, there'd be absolute hell to play. You know, and it is, you know, it's no point going, oh, it's just a minority, and it's just because of this. It's wrong on every level, and that's not in, you know, how do we police it, or how do the PDC control it? This year at the Worlds, normally we'd have 30+% of the crowd would be from Europe. But of course, because of travel, that's not been the case. So we've got a slightly different demographic. We've got that societal problem. We see and hear it in football, you know. And again, it's no good just sort of going, oh well, it's wrong. If it's wrong for everybody else not to receive it, it should be wrong for dart players to receive it.
Is it racism? Is it xenophobia?
It's definitely a form of it, isn't it? As soon as you sing those songs, we hear them on football grounds at Tottenham and all that kind of thing. They're all wrong. It doesn't matter whether you're, you know, it's just wrong. Putting a player off when he's trying to do his job is wrong. Whether it has xenophobic connotations or not, let the man work. And I don't want to sit in that commentary box, listen to that, and have to look down, for example, as I did the other day, where Gerwin Price's wife and his 2 young children were sat there. It was disgusting, absolutely disgusting, and it can't be justified. Whether you like Pricey or not, or you don't like his personality or whatever else, that's not relevant. It's no good comparing it to other sports either. you know, this is a sport which relies on a lot of focus. It's not like a physical sport, say like boxing or football. It relies on, you know, a certain amount of mentality, but it's mainly physicality. You know, you don't get it in snooker, you don't get it in golf, you don't get it in sports where it takes, you know, a certain level of concentration and application. You can't compare. It's like comparing apple oranges. The only people who compare have never been up there and been on the end of it, or stood on that stage and thrown 3 darts when people are making it almost impossible for you. How they perform at the level they do, I don't know. You know, I was blessed. I came from an era, and again, people say, oh, you got to have the crowd because of the money and everything else. Yeah, that's fine. That still doesn't make abuse of any type right. You know, the game on, and it was game on. You had all the atmosphere there, but while the players were, you know, I'm always watching old clips when they pop on YouTube, and you know, you can hear a pin drop. The players are given the best of order so they can perform to their very best to give you maximum enjoyment. It's like throwing oil on a Formula One track and them all spinning off. Was that a good race? Was it? You know, and this is, you know, this is no slight or critique of the PDC, because they've done amazing things, and it's going to be difficult, as football clubs have seen it everywhere. But it's no point just sort of brushing under the carpet and go, it'll get better. And, you know, my feelings, or priority on my feelings, is to see the players perform to the best of their ability. That's why they apply themselves and practice and put all the hours in. You know, let them get on with it. Let them. You know, we've seen some of the best darts we ever see on that Pro Tour, because it's played in perfect conditions. I want to see the players allowed to play like that up on that stage, because again, we go about be nice and mental health. Some players can't deal with it.
We'll go back to it in a second, Chris, but playing devil's advocate for a second, it's been argued that the PC have created this party kind of atmosphere.
Yep.
Where's the line now? There's a line. Where is the line?
And they know. They must know. They must know, because it's been brought to the attention of the wider media what's going on. And once that happens, then, you know, when Sky Sports start turning down the effects mics, so, you know, people at home don't listen, you know, are not able to listen to it, why are they turning it down if it's not a problem? You know, I think you come up with a great point about, you know, putting people out there. You know, we used to do it on the doors years ago. You put people out there, and you find people there who shouldn't be there, and you get rid of them.
Incognito fans.
And once people start getting chucked out, you know, if you come with a group and 2 of you are chucked out in the cold, especially this time of year, you know, and the rest of your mates are in there, you'll think twice about doing it. And as soon as people start seeing other people getting shoved out, you know, there's no refund, you're out, and maybe some kind of card system that, you know, that if you try and get back in, or try and, you know, buy a ticket, you're refused. Because we want genuine darts fans back. You know, people who actually love the game, and surely there's enough of them out there. You know, I speak to a lot and see a lot of people, totally different crowd that you get down in Minehead, for example, than you would get here. And a lot of them say to me, oh, we won't go there, it looks, you know, it's a bit too lively, if you know what I mean.
I think the key word here is respect. Look, have fun, have a great time.
Absolutely.
Have a few drinks, sing your heart out.
Absolutely.
Respect the players.
Just let the players have their moment to perform at their very best. You know, you cannot name me anybody who works in an office, or if you drove a lorry and someone's screaming in your ear, or you're not, you know, your concentration is going to be affected. And this sport is all about, you know, focus and concentration, and it's tough. I don't know how they deal with it. You know, if I did, then, you know, I'd be the first to sort of put my 2 pence in there. But it's sad. It's sad to see, because there's a lot of players that may never get to the level that they're potentially capable of, because of an outside influence that's got absolutely nothing to do with the ability to throw 3 darts at the board. And all those blends that will sit back and go, oh, well, they should be able to do it. Really? But get up there and, you know, if it's that easy, get up there and show me how easy it to do when you've got 3,500 people giving you an absolute nightmare.
Well, you mentioned mental health. That's something, obviously, that we have personally been affected by, so we can discuss it rationally from different sides. How damaging is it for these players? People don't understand, unless they've had that, how damaging it can be. It resonates when you've got mental health issues. Any slight discrepancy resonates so finely. It can be so damaging. and they don't realise where that straw breaking the camel's back is.
Exactly, and you don't know. You know, I lost one of my dearest friends only a matter of weeks ago to suicide. You know, and what was that trigger? You know, what was that trigger? I spoke to him on the phone a couple of days before, and I said, look, you know, I'm always here. You're all right. Everything's going to be cool. And December was always a tough month for him for personal reasons. But what was it? I don't want, you know. You've got some young players coming through, and that they miss an opportunity because of an outside influence. We've seen it in other sports where, you know, these young sports stars have come through, and for whatever reason, it's not quite worked out for them. The mental health effects of that has destroyed the remainder of their career. I wouldn't, you know, for example, someone like young Willie Borland or Bradley Brooks or Nathan Rafferty, you know, that next generation coming through, they get destroyed up on that stage because of an outside influence. How will they recover from that? Will that put them off the game for life, and then in turn will living with not knowing what could have been create a mental health problem? Because, you know, it's all about mental health. It's all about overthinking. If you're diagnosed with the variables of mental health, you know, some are clinical, some are emotional, and it's a frightening prospect because it's a bear pit out there for them.
There's enough help out there for the players.
Oh yeah. Whether they take it back, the PDPA spend so much time on awareness and giving the players someone to talk to, a specialist, and of course we can't. PDPA can't talk about it, or the players involved who have sought help and got help, because it's, you know, you're not allowed to talk about it. But yeah, there is plenty out there for the players. The PDPA do a wonderful job in terms of that, especially with mental health, because Alan Warner used to work in mental health. He was a nurse, and of course he was side by side with my battles for 20 years. So he's right up to speed with everything regarding mental health.
That's good to hear. Look, we'll move forward now onto next year. Obviously, there's more money in the kitty, which is great, because of, ironically, the fans and the backing. But there's extra prize money available. Q School's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Let's speak about Fallon Sherrock first of all.
Yeah. Well, fingers crossed she gets a card. I don't think it's the be all and end all for her. Of course, the WDF are moving in the right direction. I know, sadly, that Lakeside was cancelled. The British Boxing Board of Control cancelled all events for January a while ago. So maybe it was a good decision. Ticket sales weren't great, but the timing of the announcement of the draw wasn't great either. That could have been. I know their hands were tied in terms of qualification, but I always think it's a good idea, especially with Lakeside, because it is a totally different event that's supported by families and friends. So they're not going to buy tickets for sessions that they don't know that what their relative or friend and what session they're playing in. But it's been rescheduled for April. That's great. They look like they've got lots of opportunities. You've got the Women's Super Series as well, which will again obviously have the carrot being dangled in the Grand Slam and the Worlds. And of course for Fallon, she would no doubt get invited back to the World Series events. So yeah, I don't think it's a be all and end all she gets a tour card.
Would you put her in the Premier League right now, if you had to decide right now?
If they did 12, yeah. Commercially, it's a no-brainer. Is it morally right? I don't know. I suppose whatever your stance is in it. I look at her as a dart player, and she's great entertainment, great value, a wonderful dart player, male or female or indifferent. I'd feel a little bit if it was 10 and someone who we thought maybe, it's who you admit. Who do you take out for her to go in, and that's where the problem is. But yeah, I have no problem with her being in Premier League. I think she's box office. She ticks all the boxes.
Any slight question marks over what eradicated at the Grand Slam with her performances there?
No, we've seen it from all players, haven't we? Everybody has a bad day up there, you know, more than once a year. So.
You want to say that she proved that she could do it.
Oh yeah,
Against Peter Wright, that great game against Peter Wright.
She had MVG on the ropes in the World Series finals.
Yep.
So
beat Dimitri,
an amazing comeback. The 141 and 170 against Gabriel Clemens was just absolutely out of the top draw. She hits lots of 180s. She's a perfect Premier League player. I'd fear for a little bit going up against the elite every week. You know, it's we've seen players go in there before and end up a little damaged. You know, someone like Wes Newton always comes to mind. Michael Smith, when he first went in, found it tough for a while afterwards. So you know, we got to think about whether is she ready. I think she's just ready for the stage. You know, I really do, and I can totally see why she would be in. But I'm looking at the rankings now and what's happened at this tournament and what's happened at other tournaments, and it's who do they leave out to put her in. Jose's not had a particularly great year apart from losing in the final of the Premier League. So you can't really can you leave him out?
It's going to be interesting. He's definitely in the mix.
Yeah.
You've got your players that are shoed in, obviously.
Yeah.
And you include Michael Smith in that now.
Yeah, Michael Smith's 100% in. Wade is in, of course.
Yeah.
I mean he's been top four in, and then it's going to be Sky's choices, and Sky love Fallon, so. I wouldn't be shocked, but like I said, you know, morally some people may question it and think why have they been left out? But what you've got to remember is that the finances from the Premier League is what pretty much the vast majority of the Pro Tour prize money comes from. So, you know, that's their big event where they generate a vast amount of money.
We're talking about the World Seniors, a tournament that you obviously try to qualify for. Hopefully you will next time. A lot of your friends in there, so.
Yeah.
Who's going to surprise us here?
Kevin Burness could well, Martin Adams, Richie Burnett, Keith Deller. I haven't seen a lot of the older guys play before. It's one of those you never quite know because of their inactivity. You don't quite know what does Taylor have left in the locker. How much has he put into it? Listen, his pride tells me one thing. He's gonna give it absolutely everything because that's just Phil, and he'd be that way if he was in his 70s or 80s. The qualifiers was great fun, really well run, really enjoyed.
You played very well.
Yeah, the Friday night I played alright. I had one average around about 101 and then one just over 102. And on the Saturday I played Brian Dawson, who's still a really good player and an active player, and I just wasn't really in it against him. And then I lost to Mossy on the Sunday, who lost in the final on the Saturday. So he was full of confidence, and again, it was a first round game, and I just never really got up to speed. But my preparation wasn't the best either. It was off the back of doing 24 consecutive nights in hotels and working. So I tried to get as much practice as I could, and that sort of showed on the Friday night. I think if I'd have had a better draw on either of the days and built up a bit of a head of steam, I might have been alright, but a great tournament, really well supported, and great to catch up with so many old friends because you know the majority of them in there were in there in my era, and we had a lot of fun, and the two qualifiers were great. It's going to be a really interesting tournament. I'm working all that week on the live league, but I'm going to be going on the Sunday for the finals and staying over.
And you return to our screens at the end of January for the Masters?
Yeah, I'm back off the radio, which is where I've been for the last 17 days down here on TalkSport, back to normal duty on ITV for the Masters at Milton Keynes, which was an amazing event last year because our final place in the Premier League was decided in the final, and look what Johnny Clayton went on to do.
You say that, yeah. I mean, people said obviously he won that. He wasn't supposed to be in it because it was top 24, extended to top 24. Then he won it.
Yeah.
Beat Merv King to the Premier League spot, and took his chance. To be fair.
Then won the Premier League.
Yeah.
You know,
won the Premier League.
Yeah, he earned his right to play in the Premier League by winning a big event.
Sliding doors.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it is exactly a sliding doors moment for him, and then, you know, he's gone on to do absolutely incredible things.
Well, that sums up the PDC really. Take opportunities that come your way. If you take them,
yeah.
as Johnny did, look what's happened now. He's won.
Yeah, and also Welsh. but is allowed to play up there. Gets very little stick when he's on stage. And he's just, I've known Johnny for 20 odd years, always a very, very good quality player. But the way he's changed his game over the last 18 months has been an absolute, it's a fairy tale, isn't it?
Doesn't get rougher, does he?
No, it's a great sporting story, and he's a threat in every event. I mean, it took an amazing performance from Smithy this week to knock him out. I think he went out with 103 average.
Yes.
And that's sometimes just how the cookie crumbles. But yeah, he'll be a threat in defending his Masters title and throughout the rest of the year. It's 24 again down at the Masters, so lots of opportunities. We're going to have a few new players in it as well, and a few players. And I've got a feeling I think the PDC may do something similar, and maybe announce 9, and then if have a place for someone in it if someone else doesn't win. Yeah, as an incentive.
Well, it worked last year.
It worked brilliantly.
It wasn't any better, could it?
And a few people in the media thought it was all staged, and they knew. They didn't know, and it was great. We didn't know either. We got the announcement, I think, on the semi-final, that if this and this works out, and the winner then will get a Premier League spot. And obviously, as a broadcaster, we were absolutely thrilled.
Paul Mervyn King, eh?
Yeah, I know.
Here's what you could have won.
Yeah, if it weren't for bad luck, Merv wouldn't get any at all. But
great player, great.
Yeah, wonderful player, and longevity like Beaton, incredible that he's still up there contending. Didn't have a very good Worlds this year. Just didn't click for him, but that can happen. Sometimes you can under prepare or equally over prepare, and I think maybe he may have overdone it in practice because he didn't look like he had a lot in the tank up there.
You mentioned King and Beaton, so that brings us on to your WDF launch, which is now going to be April.
Yeah.
Good decision to put it back?
Yeah, I think so. In hindsight, with like I say, with what's going on in the world, I mean, fortunately, all the information that we're getting now that is readily available. I'm not a scientist, but I can read and I can add up numbers. Funny enough. All the information coming from South Africa looks really positive. They may not have had to, but it may work out to be a happy accident because it gives them a bit more time to promote the event, a bit more time to sell some more tickets, and make it a success. Sadly, I won't be working on it again. Not because I don't want to, but I just financially I couldn't do it. Call it professional integrity or whatever. They got a great team lined up for it, and I will be going as a fan. I will be buying a ticket to support the event and have a couple of days there and enjoy the event and enjoy seeing the other side of the game and what's going to come through, which will eventually filter down into the PDC anyway. It's a great filter system, as is the JDC and the new ADC that's just
ADC,
been, which is basically a relaunch,
a
relaunch of the modern amateur dart. So exciting time for amateur players. Listen, PDC isn't for everybody. Martin Adams dipped his toes in it briefly. We need other avenues for players to follow their dream.
These organisations are vital for any path towards professional darts. You can't walk in from a pub into the PDC.
No, you need somewhere. You need somewhere to learn your trade. If you get thrown straight into this with no previous stage experience, you're going to be like a rabbit in headlights. Listen, I'm a big fan of anything that's good for the players and the people involved in the WDF. Listen, the WDF has been the longest standing organisation that's currently in World Darts. The WDF were there before the BDL. And they've got sensible people behind the scenes. And listen, if you like darts, why wouldn't you support it? I don't get that whole narrative. But there you go.
It should be a great year next year. Give us 1 or 2 predictions for next year. Just throw them out there. We'll play it this time next year. See how close you are.
I think we'll see a resurgence of Michael van Gerwen. I think we'll continue to see Luke Humphries and Callan Ritz and Chris Dobie blossom. I want to see. There was indications that Chris Dobie is just starting to get to another level. I'm hopeful that if Michael Smith can win tonight's final, that he will then go on and win more events. Who else do I think? I think we'll see an array of winners as well. I think Gezi Price is going to be in the mix, obviously, as the world number one, and Johnny Clayton's going to be knocking on the door for titles. Peter Wright looks to have got everything right this week and has progressively got better and better. And maybe Gary Anderson practice a little bit more, so we can see some of that Gary Anderson that we saw last night in that absolute thriller with Peter Wright. It's a great time for darts. Hopefully the World Series returns, and the Euro Tours, because that's another place where we see new players getting an opportunity to play on big stages in front of big crowds. But I think it's going to be a great year for darts, but I certainly expect to see Michael van Gerwen start to pick up trophies. If he doesn't, then it may well be the beginning of the end, and I wouldn't want to see that, because throughout the year he's still right up on top in terms of numbers, and you know, he's a great ambassador of the sport, and it was a shame that he couldn't go on to see if he could win this tournament for a fourth time.
Chris Mason, thank you for your time.
Pleasure.
Have a great night tonight.
And you, mate.
Thank
Cheers.
you.